All right, we're off and running. So if you haven't been able to yet, jump on the Nearpod link that I just put in the chat there. And I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, okay. So just real quick, just reminder, this is being recorded for learning purposes, so you have that. Classroom expectations, make sure we're following along with the Nearpod lesson. Use the chat tools respectfully and appropriately. Respond to questions and instructions the first time. Okay, so this lesson or unit, whatever, is going to be about migration. Okay, and particularly we're going to talk about push and pull factors. Remember the 5 themes of geography. One of those themes of geography is called movement. And so we have the movement of things coming in. So we could be doing ideas, products. We're going to particularly talk about people, okay? Migrating from one place to another, why we do it, all that kind of stuff. Before I get into it, let's jump into the class real quick to see where we're at. Remember, I always record the lessons and put them right here on the announcement, so it's nice and easily available. If we go to our plan feature, we'll see we have live class every Monday. The exit ticket / assignment will be due on Friday. And last day for seniors, or not for seniors, for part-time seniors is Monday the 2nd. I don't believe we have any in this class. Last day for seniors will be the 18th, and last day for everybody else will be the 25th. So you can see there's time built in to kind of get things done if you fall a little bit behind, but might as well stay caught up, right? Take summer a little bit early, maybe. Okay, as we go over here, it'll be lesson 4, migration. We will be clicking on this, and then we'll preview it. I'll be going over this in just a little bit so you're aware of how it all works. But let's start now. Okay, the objective of this lesson is what's going to happen is you guys are going to be given an article, a news article through Newsella. And what's going to happen is you're going to read that article about basically migration or immigration and draw conclusions of the push and pull factors by listing 2 reasons for each why the person or persons want to immigrate to another country, and determine whether it was a voluntary or involuntary migration with 80% accuracy across one trial. Okay, so first off, what is migration? Okay, migration means the movement of people from one area or region to another. Okay, can you guys think of any examples about migration that maybe you can put in the chat? Any examples you can think of? When the grackles migrate to warmer climates during the winter. Are you talking about, oh, those are birds? Okay. Yeah, so you have birds that people do that too, okay? A lot of older people, they don't like the weather, right? When it's so cold up here in Utah, that a lot of them go to Arizona or Florida or something like that. Gabby, this is very good comment here. She put involuntary migration of the refugees from Ukraine. That's a very, very good, right? They didn't voluntarily want to go, but because of things that were happening, they had to, right? Okay, let's get into push and pull factors because that leads right into what we're talking about. I love how you brought like the relevance of kind of today and stuff like that. So push and pull factors. So you can see right here, this is what we call a political cartoon. somebody has a little drawing of a castle or this is a place, right? And you have the people leaving from here. And it says, we are leaving because we do not like the way things are done. Okay. So that could be, so think, for example, they say a lot of people right now are moving out of California. Okay. Maybe it's because they don't like the government's being run. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe there's a lot of things on here that could be why people don't want to be in an area. Okay. And right now, we do have a lot of people coming into Utah, okay, from other places. It says we are arriving because we do not like the way things are done elsewhere, right? There's different types of reasons why people move. Some are economic, right, for money reasons. Some are safety concerns. They're they just cultural concerns. They don't feel comfortable the way it is. And you can kind of see, like, here's some pictures of things like that. We have policies that kind of keep people out with like a fence. And then we have people that, need to move for certain reasons. Okay. As we talked about, unfortunately, the people like in Ukraine. Okay. We're going to watch a little video here about migration and why we have it, etc. And then we'll move on.
And the move of people and the spread of ideas, we have to talk about push factors and pull factors. They're kind of what it sounds like. Push factors are things that push people out of an area. They make it so they no longer want to be there anymore, and they want to move to a different location. We could also even look at this for jobs and different things within your community. Something that is going to make you feel unwelcome, well, you're going to probably want to leave that. Push factors are things that are not welcoming. This could be poor economic conditions, a lack of opportunity, war or political oppression, or just oppression from your neighbors or people in the area. These are things that cause us to no longer want to be in a certain location. And because of that, then we decide to leave. So that's a push factor. Now, pull factors are a little bit different. Pull factors are what would attract someone to an area. A pull factor makes you want to move to that location. It makes you want to go to a certain area. We can break pull factors down into four main categories: economic pull factors, political, cultural, and also environmental. Our first category is economic pull factors, and this one is the most powerful at moving people. For here, people always want to move to areas with opportunity. And so they will go to areas with more economic opportunity. Places that have poor economic conditions are more likely to push people out. Economics is a big reason why people move. This is also why current day, the United States is a big destination for a lot of migrants and immigrants. Many people, particularly from Central America, want to come to the United States because of all the economic opportunity here. Let's look at an example. Let's say that we have a city and they just discovered a bunch of natural resources. This is going to start driving economic growth, and we're going to see an attraction to this particular area. We're going to see more miners, more loggers, more people come that want to be able to harvest and utilize these natural resources. There, then, we're also going to have more businesses come. If we're having all these new workers come into this area, that means there's going to be more people with money. So they have money to spend on different goods. And with that, then, we're also going to see probably more scientists and geologists come to look at what's going on with the environment and analyze the different areas. If we're having mines, well, they need to look at what's happening in the mines. Trees, we're going to be looking at different carbon monoxide output and what's going on there with the environment. And with all these excess people coming, we'll need more restaurants and stores and more housing. So all of this, just a simple discovery of natural resources, it becomes a huge pull factor. And we can transform an economy overnight, as now we're starting to see more workers and people come from all over the place just because of new opportunity. Our next topic is political. Now, people want to go to an area that's politically stable, where you're not seeing a lot of tension with the government and its citizens, where safety is on the rise, and we're not seeing a lot of crime escalation. They also want to go to an area where the government is supporting the people, where they're fulfilling their needs and helping the economy grow and make sure that we're not seeing a recession or anything that would cause uncomfortable times for its citizens. So people move to an area that's politically stable. Areas that aren't politically stable, well, that's going to be another push factor. That might cause refugees, someone who feels like they're persecuted and they have to flee the country, or internally displaced people where they're within their same borders, but there's a conflict and they've had to flee internally inside the country, or maybe even push them to become an asylum seeker. And that is where they're going to be going to another country in hopes of getting recognized as a refugee and gain that status. But a political motivation here is stability. People want to move to an area that's stable. The next category is cultural. Now, this is going to be different for each person because everyone has a different culture and a different view on life. Some people want to move to a big cities where they're going to have more diversity, both with their economic opportunities, but also in just the citizens who are living in that area. They'll start to be able to experience a faster paced life, and they might at the same time also have some higher crime rates and more traffic issues. Some people like the suburbs where you can have a yard, a front and a back. You'll have a bigger house. You'll have a lower crime rate, better schools, and you'll have maybe a more homogeneous area. So diversity goes down. Or some people want more of the rural lifestyle where they're in a small town and you have that family feel and you know everyone in the area and you're able to kind of pick and choose your community. Everyone has different cultural things that will pull them to a certain area. So culture can be a big aspect of it, particularly when people are having families. We see a lot of people start to move into the suburbs or in smaller communities when they have families because they want to make sure they're in a safe area. So this is a big pull factor for people. Our last category is the environment. People are attracted to environments that promote not only a happy life and a successful economy and a stable society, but ones that they feel comfortable with. Remember back to my video on the 4 twos, the too hot, too cold, too wet, and too high. Those are areas people don't want to be. I should definitely know some of this. I live in Minnesota where it is very cold in the winter. A lot of people don't want to live up here because of the coldness. They want to go to a warmer area. Now, there's other barriers that impact migration, such as mountains or government laws, restrictions, and also even just money. It's expensive to move. At the same time, though, what we've seen over time is it's become easier and easier to migrate and move. With communication and transportation improving, barriers we used to have are no longer there. That's also why we're seeing an increase of people moving, particularly to different countries that they see as more opportunity that is going to be available to them, where they can get a better life. And then we see now less of the physical restrictions, but more of a governmental stance. Governments now are passing laws and putting up barriers to try and prevent migration of people.
All right, so that gave you a really good breakdown of migration, basically the reasons behind that. Okay, so let's try to answer some questions real quick. Okay, moving to another area because of employment opportunity is a blank factor. What would you guys think? Would it be a push factor or a pull factor? Okay, you're moving because of something. Something's pulling you, right? Oh, I'm sorry. There's 2 questions there. We're going to pull factor and go next. Okay, leaving a location because the area is now unsafe is called a what? Okay, one was pulling you. This was pushing you out, right? So like Russia invading into Ukraine, that is push factor. Okay. Oh, it won't let me submit. That's rude. Okay. Anyways, there we go. Okay, so we talked about push factors a little bit, okay? The reason why you would leave an area, okay? Now you have this pyramid right here. You may have seen it before. This is called basically Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And so basically how it works is he's saying in order for to be a person to gain what he calls self-actualization, basically you can achieve your full potential, you'll be able to be creative, you feel just like in harmony with everything. You have to have certain things underneath in order to meet that self-actualization. And those things are the following. So you have your basic needs. So for example, food, water, warmth, rest, and then safety and security. Okay. So for example, if you are hungry, what would you do to get food? Right? It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but would you go, and if you were hungry and somebody else had food over there and they wouldn't give you the food, or you couldn't get the food from them somehow, what would you do? Okay. Would you steal? Okay, somebody says try to steal it. Okay. Would you, somebody said beat them up. Okay. All right. Look, okay, you can look somewhere else, right? But if you're not getting those needs, right, you can see why people would react harshly, right? It's a survival instinct. Okay, for example, there's some times where I don't really do this a lot anymore, but I did it before. But I would go cliff jumping. Have anybody's done cliff jumping before? So it was pretty dumb when I was younger. You jump off these cliffs, maybe at Lake Powell, and jump down there, and you'd go down like, it felt like 20 feet. I don't know how far it was, right? That you were down in the water, and you're sitting here swimming back to the top. And next thing you know, you're like, I'm out of air. I'm out of air. Okay. Air would be a basic need, right? And I'm fighting like heck to get to the top. Okay. And I would do anything I had to do to get that air, right? If you get to some of these points, right? Food, water, rest, you do anything in order to get those, right? And so when you think about people like maybe another, it kind of flips it on you a little bit. Somebody in another country that's maybe in a gang in the drug cartel, right? Well, maybe the only way they could get that kind of stuff is to do that, right? Or stuff like that. But anyways, it kind of goes up higher. There's physiological needs where you got to have like relationships, friends, you feel accomplished, that kind of stuff, and it gets you all the way up to the point. But when you have these basic needs not met, or even these physiological needs, it will push you out of a certain area and you want to get into a new environment or a new place. Okay. And the pull factors are basically everything that would give you that, right? So maybe like you're being oppressed in a certain area, right? So you get freedom to be able to do what you want. You have economic opportunity, right? You're able to make more money. You're able to you feel better, accomplished. All of those things will kind of do there. Now, the basic needs and the physiological needs, physiological would probably be like a voluntary, like you voluntarily migrate. Basic needs would be like involuntary. We're going to get into that in just a second. Okay, push-pull factors. Have you ever moved from one place to another? And if you have, then why? Okay. So let's hear if anybody of you has like ever moved around a little bit. I'm going to tell you, before the age of, I believe, 8, my parents moved 15 times with me. All right. All because of economic things, because of my dad's work. So kind of interesting. Okay. So yes, because my parents weren't able to sustain house payment. Okay. Yep. So that's something. Okay. I moved to one town over because we needed more space in a home. Okay. We moved because the place we lived has a lot of crime. Okay. Also is closer to family. Okay. So the environment wasn't what you liked it, right? Maybe not that safe, that kind of stuff. Not really, just a little bit away because of housing prices. Okay. Yes. Yes, I moved from California to live with my mom. Okay. Yes, because my dad was in the military. All right. So that you have that aspect of things. I have, but I was a baby. Okay. Yes, for economical purposes. Good. Yes, I've moved in with my aunt for a summer in New York because she was ill and needed a caretaker. Very good. That was nice of you to do that. Probably a good experience too, to be able to go somewhere else, you know, spread your wings a little bit, so find out what it's like somewhere else. Yes, my dad's in the military, so moved a lot. My parents moved from California to here, and we haven't moved since. It was a good area back in the day. Okay. Yes, I have moved because my parents were in the military. Oh, we got a lot of military families in here. That's fantastic. We moved from a bunch of houses because of divorce. Okay. All right. So we got like economic, we got job related stuff, you know, being able to move closer to family, all of that stuff. Somebody said, I moved to Florida from Utah for my parents' work and then back to Utah. Very good. I wonder if you moved to Florida because of the climate. I like Florida's climate, especially in the winter. I'd rather be there than here. Oh, very good, guys. Sounds like we have some good opportunities there. Okay, let's go over voluntary versus involuntary migration. So migration is the permanent movement of people from one place to another. Voluntary migration is where the migrant has a choice whether or not to migrate. Okay. The other kind of migration is a forced migration. In forced migration, a government or authority forces someone to move. Okay. Or it's dangerous, or, you know, that. But there's push and pull factors on either side, right? So in one scenario, there's going to be many pull factors and push factors. I'm just telling you that because we're going to kind of do a little study on that. So let's do a little fill in the blank here, okay? And I'll do it on your side. Let's say you're living in Sudan, Africa, and war breaks out. It is now unsafe to live for you to live there. This would be considered what? And somebody put it in the chat. Voluntary or involuntary? Okay, good. Involuntary, right? Because you're forced. Okay. All right. You end up migrating to New York City, USA. After 5 years, you find a higher paying job in Miami, Florida. This would be considered a voluntary, right? Because you don't have to move, but better opportunity, higher paying job. It's a lot cheaper in Florida to live. Guys, we caught my other class in personal finance. We talked about cost of living, right? So it's kind of nice to be able to have that there. All right. Okay, so this is what you're going to do for your assignment. Okay, you're going to read an article on migration. You're going to draw conclusions from the article. Okay, those conclusions are 2 push factors of why the person migrated, or persons migrated, and 2 pull factors. Okay, and answer the article. Okay, so if you go to right here, this will be the article for you. And I will put this in the chat as well. Okay, so this one is about Vadi, a teenager from El Salvador, moved from El Salvador to Tijuana, and then is trying to meet his mom across the border. Okay, so not very long, you know, about 2 pages. So you'll kind of be able to read it and take that. So once you go to the assignment, it's going to ask you, did you read the article or not? That gives you points. You got to put yes, you did read the article, right? List 2 push factors of why. List 2 pull factors and whether it was voluntary or involuntary. Okay. All right. So that will be what you need to do. So if you have any questions, please stay after. I'll help you with anything that you need. But there's my contact. So I'll stop the recording now. But if you do have any questions, feel free to stay on and I'll help you out however I can. Thanks.